internet day traders. They think they know about the crypto business and Bitcoin business. Tyrone Bowman, live. I'm going to be talking about an article written in Forbes magazine by Boaz Sobrato, who's a contributor, concerning the crypto casino market. The title is Drake Lawsuit Exposes $38 billion illegal crypto casino market. You might want to stick around for this one because I'm going to talk about it in context with the article that has been written. So according to Forbes magazine, on the last day of 2025, a bombshell civil lawsuit was filed in the Eastern District Court of Virginia, leveling explosive allegations that would send shockwaves through the entertainment and gambling industries. The 50-page complaint filed by consumers La Shwana Ridley and Tiffany Hines against Grammy-winning rapper Aubrey, quote, Drake, end quote, Graham, charges the star with masterminding an illegal gambling operation disguised as celebrity entertainment. The lawsuit coincided with the release of new data by YieldSec, a gambling intelligence platform, which revealed the immense scope of the underground gambling economy in America. But the civil RICO lawsuit goes beyond one celebrity's alleged wrongdoing to expose a dark shadow gambling economy that has robbed American consumers and legitimate businesses of tens of billions of dollars. The lawsuit, a federal class action, accuses Drake, Adina Ross, and Georgia Eugen of operating a criminal organization, as defined by the Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organization, or RICO, Act, entered on crypto gambling platforms Stake.us. That's the reason why people need to really pay attention to what they're getting involved in before they get involved in it. The alleged scheme involved not only promoting illegal gambling to Drake's vast social media audience, but also a complex money laundering operation in which millions of dollars were funneled through the platform, quote, tipping, end quote, featured to fund hot farms that frequently boosted Drake's Spotify streams. The allegations are still pending in court with no resolution in sight. Neither Drake, Ross, nor Stake.us have issued a public response to the civil lawsuit's specific allegations. Despite this, the consumer lawsuit has brought to light what insiders have long suspected but been unable to measure. Legal gambling in the U.S. has failed to supplant the illegal industry it was intended to eradicate. Moreover, new data implies that it has possibly made the issue even worse. So what is behind the hidden $67 billion in plain sight? Behind the alleged individual scheme involving Drake's lies, a more staggering reality. The Campaign for Fairer Gambling, an advocacy group funded by former poker executive Derek Webb, commissioned YieldSec to research on the state of the gambling industry in America. It found that illegal gambling operators took in 74% of the U.S. online gambling market in the first half of 2025, capturing a staggering $38.7 billion out of a total of $52 billion, all of which goes to non-tax-paying illicit businesses. Quote, American commerce is being robbed, asserts Ishmael Valley, founder and former CEO of YieldSec and current president of Gambling Compliance International, or GCI. Legal online gambling brands are being cheated out of their rightful earnings. Moreover, the American community is also a victim of this theft, as the brand's illegal operations deprive the government of tax revenue that is rightfully due. End quote. Contrary to proponents' claims over the vast 7 years of state by state legalization, the data reveals that legalized gambling has not replaced illegal operators. Instead, it has normalized the practice, while illegal platforms have maintained their dominant share market. The outcome has resulted in lost tax revenue and the silent death of legal licensed operators, according to Valley. Well, let me just say this. Isn't the lottery legalized gambling? But why is it that the majority of the people who play the lottery never win? Yet they're spending billions and billions and billions of dollars on, quote, legalized, end quote, gambling, which is the lottery. Of course, they claim the money goes to help the senior citizens, whatever. Why is it that the majority of the people never win? And when somebody does win the big prize, it's always in some deep, remote little town way off the map, way down under somewhere. Do you ever notice that? How come people in the big cities aren't winning that kind of money? Think about it. When legal sports betting went live across the U.S. in 2018, 103 licensed operators entered the fray. By 2024, the number had dropped to 95, and by mid-2025, only 57 remained operational. None of this due to consolidation. Valley stresses. It's purely due to the fact that these brands can't generate the revenue they should, which means they can't pay the taxes states expect. The operator collapse is further underscored by a 19% year-over-year decline in sports betting app downloads in 2025. According to Sensor Tower data, despite the gambling market's overall growth, legal operators are experiencing a double whammy, losing customers and market share to unregulated competitors. So let's talk about the crypto gambling revolution and what's behind it. At the core of the underground gambling empire lies crypto gambling, perhaps the most dangerous innovation in the industry, with $14.4 billion in revenue, accounting for 28% of the U.S. total and 37% of illegal gaming revenue. This market has revolutionized how Americans participate in online betting. The author of the article says, quote, as I've previously reported, the shadow gambling industry has been growing exponentially alongside crypto adoption. Valley notes that crypto gambling has emerged as a highly successful product, exploiting the term crypto to entice a certain audience that lacks a basic understanding. The platforms capitalize on the validity of cryptocurrency prices to create what Valley terms a winning lie, where users are lured by inflated account balances and encouraged to place more frequent and larger bets as the value of Bitcoin rises. Why do you think all these commercials are on the internet about gambling? It's to lure suspecting, gullible people into being swindled. And they pay actors to act like they've won so much money, and clearly you can tell that they're lying. Ain't nobody winning all that kind of money all the time, and especially when they're a novice into the world of high stakes gambling. It's not happening. Crypto platforms perpetuate a dangerous illusion by displaying user deposits as fluctuating cryptocurrency coins, misleading users into believing they are earning investment returns. As Valley notes, this perceived wealth encourages users to gamble more and take greater risks. Consequently, users engaged in more frequent high-stake betting than ever before seen in the history of gambling. The crypto gambling industry has developed sophisticated methods to evade regulation, becoming a brand term in the process. To leverage higher conversion rates, some platforms that don't accept cryptocurrency deposits market themselves as crypto casinos. Valley notes that Illegal operators exploit pay-per-click advertising systems, which is how they can afford to buy the term. If I can put some other word in there, which people started doing 13, 14 years ago with crypto, now it's cheaper for me to buy that term, he explains. This mirrors the global casino boom driven by stablecoin adoption. So why legal gambling can't compete with illegal crypto gambling? You know what? That's a good question. Why can't legalized gambling compete? If you're doing it by the books, what are you worried about? You wouldn't be worried about the crooks and the fraudsters. Valley's analysis points to the industry's term cross-sell. As the core issue, this refers to the ability to transfer customers between difficult gambling products to maximize lifetime value, which legal operators struggle with compared to illegal competitors. To turn a profit in this industry, you must be a one-stop gambling shop with cross-sell capabilities, Valley clarifies. The key is to leverage sports betting to acquire a database audience and then migrate them to casino and pokers where the profit margin is higher. Without cross-sell, it's a challenge to turn a profit as the margin for sports betting, legal or illegal, is extremely thin. Valley believes that legalized sports betting in most U.S. states without online casinos puts operators at a significant disadvantage comparable to fighting with one hand tied behind your back. This restriction means they can only offer sports betting a low margin product with single digit profit margins. I'm about to break it down in a minute. If they're lucky, in contrast, illegal operators are free to provide a wide range of gambling options, including casino games, poker, and emerging products like prediction markets and crypto trading. See, this all boils down to who can lie the best, who can swindle the best, who can manipulate the best. So the legalized gambling industry is upset because the illegal people are making more money. That's the bottom line. It is not about stabilization in the economy. It's not about taxes. It's not about revenue. It's not about being concerned about government taxes. It's concerned about the fact that they're building these larger than life casinos all around the country and around the world, and people don't want to come to them anymore. Why would they fly down to Las Vegas when they can just go online? It doesn't make sense. They got to pay for airfare, hotel fare, lodging, parking, food, drinks. They got to pay for gambling their life savings away. They're like, you know what? The heck with it. I'll just go ahead and try the online sports betting. There's a sucker born every minute. In this case, every second. Value queries, why would I gamble with you if you don't offer me a benefit in the casino when I lose money on sports or vice versa? Legal brands are advertising everywhere trying to get their hands on that valuable customer database. But illegal operators give customers everything they want in one place. Just like I said, it's a competition. It's a race. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's street-card Molly. It's called bait. They want to bait you into coming back into the casinos. So they'll offer you every type of incentive to get you back in there. Because once they get you liquored up and juiced up with scantily clad women working the tables and everything, they can get you to keep on betting. And don't you know that in the gambling business, the casinos are not in the business of wanting you to win when you come to their casinos. They don't want you to win, they want you to lose. Because the more you lose, they know the more you will spend. And if a person has an addictive gambling habit, like millions of people do, they're going to make sure that the gambling addict is given whatever they want to satisfy and justify them losing their money. Well, it was illegal. I didn't make them drink. I didn't make them gamble. Nobody told them to do it. And it is the absolute undisputed truth. Why do you think they call it gambling anonymous? Because people get addicted to gambling. And when they get addicted and they have a behavior of addiction, they want to condemn them when they innocently started out with one little scratch off, one little bet. Now they want to get that big payday and prove the industry wrong. So what do? They borrow, beg, or steal to supply that habit. It's the same thing with drug addiction. Of course, that first hit, the drug dealer is going to give it to you for free because there's nothing like that first high. And when individuals continuously come back to the drug dealer, they got them hooked because they gave them something for free. Ain't nothing for free in this world. Nothing. There's no such thing as something for nothing. None. Somebody said man, seriously. A lot of folk, they have no self-control when it comes to vices and addictions. Maybe you do, but most people don't. Now back to the article. Ohio's experience with legalized online sports betting has been instructive. Legalization has failed. Listen. Legalization has failed to displace illegal gambling operators, instead adding a new layer of gambling options, while these operators have managed to retain their customers by offering more attractive products, resulting in the state incurring the highest per capita losses to illegal gambling in the country. The legal gambling industry's ongoing profitability crisis is largely due to its competitive disadvantage. This crisis becomes even more apparent when examining the 2025 financial performance. Despite a $150 million annual licensing deal with Disney, ESPN Bet struggled to gain attraction, capturing only 3 to 5% of the market share before Penn Entertainment terminated the partnership in December 2025. Furthermore, Fanatics Betting projects a $300 million loss in 2025. Meanwhile, other major operators, such as DraftKings, were forced to cut their full-year guidance by $300 million due to unfavorable sports outcome, which do not affect the illegal competitors' house-edge casino games. BetMGM finally turned a profit in 2025 with $200 million in the gambling business, and they have an acronym EBITDA, but only after hemorrhaging over $360 million in 2023 and 2024. It is the rare legal operators to achieve cross-sell success, boasting the largest iGambling market share of around 22%. However, this milestone was reached only through sustained losses that would have driven smaller operators into bankruptcy. Have you ever gone to a private poker game? A private poker game. A lot of rich people go to them. The rich people go there for fun. The everyday person, they're going there to try to win that money because they got major expenses and bills they want to cover. Why is it that most people lose at these private poker games? Because they're rigged. So let's talk about the enforcement void and tech platform exploitation. The illegal gambling empire thrives largely due to exploitation of major technology platforms which unwittingly enable its clandestine activities. According to GCI's monitoring, nearly 3,500 illegal gambling apps on Android and Apple stores have evaded the standard 30% revenue share required of licensed gambling operators. Quote, when illegal gambling appears, they don't identify it as such, as this would require a state government license to enter the app stores. Gambling sections, Valley explains, instead, operators misrepresent their apps as sports information or games. Then transition them to real money gambling within 24 hours of download. The issue is widespread across much tech platforms. Illegal operators manipulate and systems of Meta, Facebook, Instagram, Google, and others by advertising legitimate products such as sandwiches or sneakers for 28 days, the standard monitoring period. They then switch to gambling promotions, exploiting the system's limitations. As Valley explains, if the account gets shut down due to a complaint, that's fine. We'll just move on to one of the hundreds of others we've already set up. This sophisticated supply chain has led to illegal gambling dominating the advertising landscape. 82% of online gambling content promotes illegally or unregulated gambling, with 43% specifically targeting illegal crypto gambling. Meanwhile, tech platforms are unwittingly facilitating this through standard advertising processes, thereby losing billions in potential revenue while allowing illegal operators to gain an advantage over licensed ones. Let's talk about crypto gambling from chaos to control. Estimates of illegal gambling activity from YieldSec, the technical marketplace intelligence platform recently acquired by Game Compliance International or GCI, are significantly higher than those from other industry participants. For instance, the American Gaming Association estimates illegal gambling to be around 32% of the total U.S. gambling market, whereas YieldSec's figure for online gambling activity is 74%. This disparity can be attributed to differences in methodology. YieldSec's estimates are based on, when individuals own a business, they call them the sole proprietor. So proprietary digital tracking of online activity across search engines, apps, social media, and advertising platforms, whereas industry groups like AGA primarily rely on consumer surveys and publicly available data. Moreover, YieldSec focuses exclusively on online gambling, where illegal operators may have a competitive edge, whereas broader industry estimates include offline gambling, where legal operators tend to dominate. Nevertheless, the data presents American policymakers with a clear choice: acknowledge the inadequacy of the current state-by-state approach to legalization, or adopt the comprehensive MPO framework. Legalization alone can't eliminate or reduce illegal gambling. Valley argues, to move from chaos to control, legalization requires ongoing monitoring, policing, enforcement, and optimization. Enforcement efforts are currently inadequate, with state regulators prioritizing licensed operators over combating illegal gambling, and federal law enforcement lacking the necessary resources to monitor the rapidly evolving illegal gaming industry. The gambling industry, my bad. According to Valley, regulators are meant to oversee legal brands, not address criminal activity, which is a separate problem. The enforcement gap has generated a perfect storm for illegal operators, according to Derek Webb, founder of Campaign for Fairer Gambling, a former gaming industry entrepreneur who founded GCI's research. Web costs or web contests, the notion that legalizing online gambling will curb illegal online gambling? Of course it's not. People are always going to gamble. Just like with the upcoming NFL playoffs. People are going to gamble legally and illegally. A lot of folk are going to win. A lot of people are going to lose their money. When the Super Bowl comes up, even en route to the Super Bowl, people are going to continue to gamble. And they're going to vote very heavy on who's favored to win the Super Bowl. So let's get it together, people. Stop thinking that gambling is going to go away. It's never going to go away. In one form or another, legal or illegally, it's going to exist. Federal intervention seems ever more necessary as illegal operators exploit the current state regulatory system. See, what's happening is the CEOs of the legalized gambling corporations, they're mad because the illegal gambling operations, quote unquote, online betting, they're mad because they're making all the money. They want to make all the money by any means necessary. They don't want any competitors. They don't want no compositions. They can't make them a deal that they can't refuse because all is fair. So what happened? They want to regulate something. They offer consistent nationwide access while legal operators are forced to navigate 50 different regulatory frameworks. Perhaps the patchwork model has not worked as well as it should. Valley says maybe there needs to be some federal intervention to help states gain control of the marketplaces. The ongoing consumer lawsuit against Drake sheds light on the massive underground gambling economy in America, which steals $67 billion each year from legitimate businesses, state tax coffers, and consumers. The same consumers are now seeking damages in a civil lawsuit as policymakers consider, as policymakers consider the issue. They must decide whether to view these instances as isolated or as widespread problem that undermines legal gambling markets as the data suggests. How about this? I'll close by saying this. When prohibition existed in America, they went underground. Where do you think the word speakeasies came from? Because prohibition, or the stoppage of selling alcohol and liquor, forced the bootleggers to come into business. And what did they do? They found a way to get their liquor and everything else from a different supply. They had speakeasies where you could go to. But then when they found out that the liquor industry was losing money, the government decided to legalize it. Prohibition was repealed. Why? Because of taxation. And the government took over the liquor industry. Why do you think they call them wine, spirits, and good wine and spirits shopping? In the hood, they call them stop and goes. You see them on every corner, on every block. You see a bar, stop and go, and some other things in between. It's not going anywhere, people. Never surrender. Never quit.